What's up, Jim?
Doing well. How you doing, Jared?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Weather's
Another
clearing
another
up.
week, right?
Yep.
Another week, right?
Another week.
So, I'd like to begin with a bit of a shout out, if that's all right.
Do it.
So I've learned, and this is maybe a dubious distinction for us, that the Urach brothers are actually now members of the Legion. So
Nice. Nice.
maybe on a probationary status with those two guys. So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
Nice.
All right. Cool, man. So hey, what are you reading this week?
So this week I actually picked up, I found this, I was trying to look up some Zizek stuff, and I found
Nice.
a blog called Social Ecologies. It's actually just a WordPress.com. And the name of the article is Slavoj Zizek, Angel of History versus Demon of the Future. And it's a really good just kind of dive into a bunch of his work, but largely talking about his ideas around mobilism and progressivism, and especially like the capitalist machine stuff in regard to like how those things get kind of meshed.
Nice.
It's a good article. I'm still kind of reading it, but reading that, and then read, of course, what we're talking about today, and then still going through the Odyssey with our students. So
Nice. Excellent. Yeah, well, it's funny. We're both kind of on a Zizek thing. I mean, I've been on a Zizek thing for a couple of years now, but
yeah,
I'm reading his Tarrying with the Elite.
nice.
Excuse me, Tarrying with the Negative. That was a weird slip.
Oh, okay.
I'll talk to my analyst about that. But yeah, Tarrying with the Negative, and that's the book that I mentioned. There's this great 3-page introduction that I think summarizes the whole Zizekian project. So, but yeah, Tarrying with the Negative is one of his extended treatments of German idealism.
Oh, okay.
And so far I'm finding it very illuminating, very helpful. So
Nice.
and I get a sense that we're on our way in the relatively near future to a Zizek episode here
We're totally going to do it.
on the GDP.
Absolutely.
So yeah, maybe we'll start with the 3-page, all of Zizek in 3 pages, and then maybe move into something like the sublime object of ideology, which I reread that this winter, and man, that's even though it was written, I think in 89, 90 maybe, early, like it's the first big piece from Zizek at least in the English speaking world, and man, it still stands up. I think it's still extremely socially, politically relevant, not just in the sense like every great book is, but like in some minutia today. So
That's awesome.
I think Zizek's in the offing for us, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, he's one of those guys too that every time I see him, he doesn't really like debate anybody, but he has those discussions with people, and he just lives on another plane, man. His
Yeah.
mind is just on another level.
It's on another level. Yeah. It really is. And I think too, with Zizek is, he has managed to become somebody like pretty vilified by both ends of the standard normie political spectrum. So good sign.
yeah. Yeah, he did a really good treatise. It's only like 8 minutes on YouTube on the Prodigal Son. And it's really, really good. And I love still how, even though he may not believe or in what scripture's about, but he still understands it as a great work that's illuminated people for centuries, right? And so he's able to still see it as that way. And I love that.
That would be a good episode for us too, is if we did Zizek's Christian atheism.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think maybe even identifies himself as. Yeah,
I think so.
That would be an interesting one. So,
for sure.
So that would be some good troublemaking stuff for us.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, but this week we are kind of stepping out of formal philosophy and into some literature, and namely some ancient Greek literature. We are doing Prometheus Bound. Okay. Which is it's a tragic tragic drama by Aeschylus. Okay. One that is one of my absolute faves. I teach it very consistently. I think you have some relationship to. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Jared? Yep. Yeah. This I'm sure I should have dates for it, but I don't. Sorry. This is the first, like, he wrote a sequel to this, but I believe, right, we don't have the sequel.
It's actually a trilogy. This is the first one, a trilogy, but we don't have the other 2 works.
We don't have the other 2. So in some ways, it's like utterly irresponsible for us to draw too many inferences about Aeschylus's intent about it, right?
Yes.
It doesn't mean we can't draw inferences about it in terms of what it means for us, what we can take from it, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Also, though, I think wasn't it Thoreau wrote a speculative sequel to this,
Prometheus
right?
Unbound. Yeah,
Prometheus Bound, which I have not read. That would be an interesting,
that'd be a good one.
maybe
Yeah,
maybe follow up on. Have you read that?
I have not. I read some Thoreau, but I have not read that one
Yeah, that would be an interesting follow up, like the American Prometheus.
for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So I think let's put that. That's on the docket at some
Let's do
point.
it.
Okay, so maybe a little backdrop here is, the myth of Prometheus is kind of standard Greek fare, right?
Hmm.
Like we already have a version of it in Hesiod. Am I
Hmm.
right? It's in, I think, a lot of the ancient Greek sources. They have a myth of Prometheus, right?
Hmm.
It varies a little bit from, like any myth, from presentation to presentation. Aeschylus has got his own
Hmm.
thing he's doing with this that's pretty distinct from the other ones, right? And I think, as a preface, though, what we should have in mind, and correct, because you know this stuff better than I do, Jared, like, please correct me. Basically, the Prometheus myth is the ancient Greek uh, story of human origins,
Hmm. Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Okay, at least a distinctive, like, cognitively distinct humanity. Maybe not necessarily biologically, right? But like, this is their story about the origin of humanity. And so I think what that does for me is to say that really what we're getting here is something like a take on human nature,
Yes.
right? You see what I mean? And so he's like, Aeschylus is trying to articulate to us some important aspect of human nature, a kind of essential aspect of human nature, if dare I say it, right? And moreover, we have to remember that this, and you have to, like, this one, like, usually, you read a Greek tragedy, it makes real sense in what sense it's a tragedy, right? Okay.
Right.
Like, you end up with unresolved conflict at the end, right? Like that's how I always think of tragedy, is like there's no marriage at the end, right?
Right.
Like, we don't get a
Right.
synthesis, right? It's a open dialectical tension, and you just have to live with it. That's it,
Exactly.
right? So I think we should bear in mind as we talk about this, in what sense is this a tragedy,
Yes.
right? Rather than just a sad story.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because not too many times in Greek myths do you end up with any redemption story, right? Especially when it comes to humanity, there's not a whole lot of like happy
Yeah.
endings. You
Not a lot of
know,
happy endings. Yeah.
most of the origin myths that came out of the Greeks were humanity was kind of either a mistake or a rebellion from the
Yeah.
gods, and you see that in this too. So
Yeah. I mean, think of friend of the pod, Camus, and his use of the Sisyphus myth,
yep,
right? I mean,
yep,
classic,
exactly.
basically a story about human nature, and it doesn't end well. Yeah.
Yes,
So yeah, the Greeks do not have a progressive, optimistic view of history. Like, their view of history is cyclical,
hmm,
even into Aristotle and Plato, right? Like, the whole thing is thought in terms of cycles that repeat,
yep,
right? And maybe, if, in Plato's view, you can get off the ride at some point.
yeah,
But the way history goes is, it is infinite repetition,
yes,
right? Going nowhere,
yep,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So so I think, and once again, go where you want on this, but I think the opening scene in this thing is very, very important.
It's huge.
Do
Yeah.
you have any comments on that?
Yeah. Do you want to kind of just share a little bit about what's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got two guys, Kratos and mine says Baya. I've seen Bio on other
Okay.
translations as well. But basically, they're dragging Prometheus with a guy named Hephaestus, who shows up in a lot of Greek literature. He made Achilles' shield and the Iliad and his armor. And so
I think that's an important takeaway for where Prometheus is. When we find about Prometheus, is this is the god of sort of practical arts,
yes,
right? He's a smith, right? He's the god of making implements, right?
yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's interesting too with that background as well. It's interesting too because so like the Shield of Achilles has the two cities, right? And you only have the gods showing up in the city of war. And so it's an interesting kind of insight into how Hephaestus himself kind of thinks of like, look, and in the city of peace where you've got justice, you've got marriage, you've got festivities, the gods aren't really involved. But in a place where there's a lot of strife and a lot of anger, the gods are definitely involved.
They're involved. Yeah. Yeah. So you've got Hephaestus, and then our other speaker here, besides Prometheus, is What's your translation call this other speaker?
Mine says Kratos.
Okay. Mine calls the speaker power.
Power. Yeah, I've seen
Power.
strength as well.
I've seen strength. I've seen force.
Mm-hmm,
Right.
mm-hmm.
Interesting. I think power is an interesting selection
Oh,
here.
totally. Yeah.
If we want to connect this, and I think we can, to later texts, say from Nietzsche.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
So I I can pretend like, and say things like, arete means excellence in Greek, but that's about exhaust my knowledge of Greek. Okay.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I like power, for at least for my reading of this.
I agree.
Okay,
I agree.
So power is there, and Hephaestus is there, and and Prometheus has been dragged there. Okay. Now Hephaestus he's the smith. So he's fashioning a chain for Prometheus to hold him to this rock.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. I think in the early test, he's like, it's literally a rod's being drilled through him. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to like hold him to the rock. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Through his ankles.
yeah. And I think already, any ancient reader of this, or any reader today who understands the myth, well, there's an irony in this, because like, what is Prometheus? Like, he's there because he gave a kind of power to humanity, namely a power of humanity to make things on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He gave them the power for a techne, for technology. But we're going to see in a minute here, technology here is thought in the broadest possible sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cognitive thing too. And he is bound now by the very thing he gave to humans.
Yes.
Right. You see that? So we should see Prometheus as at least an ironic deity here.
Yeah.
Right. Like, he is bound by the very thing that defines him. He's bound by the very power that he delivers. Right.
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting too, because and we'll get into his actual speech here in a second, but Kratos, Hephaestus is just kind of following along, doing what he's told, right? But Kratos, i.e. power, he really wants this to happen. He really sees Zeus's way as the only way, and you disobeyed Zeus, therefore you have to suffer. So power itself, it's the whole like might makes right, attitude towards things.
Yeah. And it's interesting. It's not Zeus speaking,
right?
It's power. It's yes. That like and that's why there's this Nietzschean thing. There's just this thing, this will to power, that is the way things go in the universe. And, and Zeus is on the side of it, right?
Yeah.
Or at least Zeus has been advantaged by, and power is just speaking, saying, look, you're being a fool, Prometheus. You can't beat us, right? You can't beat power.
Exactly.
Right? In the end, like, the inexorable force of the universe will overcome you. Right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Now, what I find, okay, so when Hephaestus is basically saying, look, it pains me to do this. I don't like to do this to another god. But just backtrack. So Prometheus, am I right, is a Titan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. And there's this war going on between the Olympian gods and the Titans, right? This is one of the part of the origin story universe for the Greeks. And how'd it go? Like, Prometheus was a traitor. Like, he goes over to the side of the Olympians, and then decides he does not care much for this Zeus character, and he then goes back over to, or at least he goes rogue. And in doing so, his revenge is that he delivers something to humanity. He enables humanity in a way that was reserved to the gods. Okay. And so it's interesting, like, he's a god, and we'll get into this as we go, who has a disdain for divinity in general. Like, there's no gods this guy gets along with. Right.
Yeah.
And later in the play, he's going to literally say, I hate all gods.
Yes.
Okay. So one, you can see there's this anti-divinity thing in him, but also he's a god. So there's a kind of vindictive, self-loathing, self-destructiveness built into the Prometheus character, which I think is important. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is interesting too, because he has a different sense of justice as well. Right. So even though he is self-loathing in regard to like the nature of the gods, there is some kind of sense of like, this ain't right. Something's wrong here. You should not be able to treat people this way.
We shouldn't have to listen to these guys.
Exactly. Which is not how gods act.
Right? Yeah. There's a rebellion built into this, right? So if the gods act by force alone, the hell with you guys. Right. And even to the point for Prometheus to self-destruction.
Yes.
Okay. And so one of the things I find like fascinating in this opening exchange is if I'm on, Jared and I are working through different translations, so but everyone should have this. I'm on line 85.
Okay.
And this is a place where power speaks. Okay. And power says, speaking to Prometheus, power says, "Here now display your arrogance and steal God's privileges for creatures of a day. How can mortals lessen this suffering? The gods call you Prometheus, forethinker, false name. You lack the forethought you require to twist your way out of this work of art." Okay, now I love that line. So one, he's mocking like your name means foreknowledge. Okay, so he had a brother whose name literally meant forgetfulness. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but this brother, right, Prometheus, his name means I can see the future. I know what's coming. I understand. Right, I can project and think of it in terms of what he's given to humans is his ability to project into a future, to have a
Mm-hmm.
kind of like we would say today, a working memory that lets us like do multiple tasks at once, and thereby make things that we can project ourselves into the future with. And he's like, well, you fool, you're misnamed because you, right, couldn't see this. Like
Couldn't see this
you
coming.
missed what
Yeah.
was going, yeah, what was coming. And I love it. That last line here says here, you lack the forethought you require to twist your way out of this work of art. So what did you do?
Mm-hmm.
You gave humans the ability to do the practical arts and even the intellectual arts, we'll see. And you can't twist out of this. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Like you can't twist out of this. Now, going over to page line, I guess it's like 105-ish.
Okay.
This is Prometheus, never one to take it lying down. Well, he's taking lying down because he's getting nailed to a rock, but
Yeah.
it's metaphorically speaking. In my translation, he says, "But what am I saying? Since I know what will be in all its particulars, no pain can surprise me. I must bear my fate as lightly as I can. The strength of necessity can't be contested." Okay, force, you're going to win, right? "Still, I can neither keep silent nor speak out about what happened. The gift the gift I gave to mortals has yoked me in these sad necessities. I hunted down fire's stolen spring and hid it in a fennel stalk, revealing it to mortals as teacher of all arts, a great recourse. And that's the crime for which I pay the cost, pinned here in chains beneath the open sky." And actually, if you go ahead a little further, sorry, Punky flipping through the book here, terrible TV. I'm on line like it'd be 290-ish. Prometheus speaks.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "It's easy when you've kept clear of disaster to give encouragement and sound advice to those in trouble. But I knew all of this. I meant to go wrong. I meant to. I won't deny it. I helped mortals and found trouble for myself. Still, I didn't expect a punishment like this, to waste away against the stony steeps on this deserted crag with no one near me. But don't lament over my present sorrows. Come down and hear what's going to happen," etc., etc. But you can see here, he's saying, I knew it. I knew this would happen to me. I knew I would be bound by the very thing that I delivered, right? And I willed it. Why? Because I'm not taking this lying down.
Yes.
Right? I'm not taking force lying down.
Yes. It's interesting too, because he tends to, or there's a debate around whether or not, because at one point he says, he's talking about himself, and he says, "Submissive entry to the tyrant's hall, his fault too great a love of humankind." And there's a bit of a debate about whether or not, was it really a love of humankind that kind of encouraged this, or was it a hate against the tyrants of the gods, right? And I think, I mean, you could definitely say it's a mix of the two, probably, but it would probably lean more for me as a rebellion against the tyrant. I think that's kind of what this is about.
Yeah. And I think, though, it's a rebellion against the tyrants that is willing to chew up humanity to do it.
For its own good.
Right.
Yep.
For its own good. Do you know what I mean? Like, but it's I kind of read this, I shouldn't say kind of, I do read this play in kind of a Jungian archetypical fashion. Okay. And I see Prometheus is the archetype of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so what has he done? Like he's taken the fire. And now think of it in Greek, for the Greeks, Um, fire is knowledge, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Fire is to know things in a distinctively human way. So Icarus wanted to get close to the sun, to the source of all the fire, to the source of all the knowledge. And what happens? He gets too close, and his wax wings melt. Maybe could have chosen better materials, but anyway, he falls to the earth in tragedy, right? So, like, what's the message? Like, don't go looking for knowledge. Just humans, stay in your place. Force will have its way with you, but who are you going to complain to, right?
Yep.
Again, Plato's cave, like there's fire, right?
Yeah.
The source of the fire is the sun, the ultimate thing to know. All that humans are striving for that, right? And so I think what we're seeing in Prometheus is this claim that like humans, by their very nature, are going to steal fire. They're going
Hmm.
to take the knowledge, right? They're going to take the knowledge. And, but that, and that is what will make them distinctive and great.
Yes.
But it also will be their ultimate undoing,
Yes.
right? It will be their ultimate undoing, right? And so I think the way I read this thing, I know I'm projecting all sorts of stuff in this, but we do what we do here,
Yeah.
is Prometheus is this symbol of the fact that humanity, in virtue of what it is on rails to self-destruction, and
Yes.
there's no getting out of it, right?
Yeah, it's a thing too of and of course this is in a lot of Greek plays and other literature, but the battle between fate and free will, and how oftentimes free will find its way into just making fate happen, right? And we all know we're fated to die, we're fated to, to destroy ourselves because partially because of free will, right? It's
Yeah,
because we have the ability to choose, we have the ability to learn, and sometimes that's going to end up being our undoing, or all the time. But
yeah,
I love the image of fire, because fire is one of those things of like, well, I mean, fire brings heat in the cold. If you're in a cave, you're going to want that fire. It helps you cook your food. It helps you turn bronze into armor. It does all of these great things for you, but it will also burn the shit out of you, right? So
yeah,
like
yeah,
and destroy your house if you let it go
yeah.
crazy.
And so think of was it Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer film?
Hmm.
He he opens the film with a quotation, I believe, from the Aeschylus play, right? From Prometheus. Okay. And you can think of it is like, if you watch Oppenheimer throughout that film, you get a different story from him several times about why he wants to do this, like
Yes.
why we're going to do this. And in the end, he doesn't know why he's doing this. It's just, this is what Prometheus is. This is what we are,
Yeah.
is we figure things out. We push the edge, we make them. And guess what? It's resulted in now our ability to annihilate ourselves and much with us. Right.
Yes.
And so I think like this is there's a it's a he was Anders is his name. Gunther Anders was a student of Heidegger's who was a Marxist. Okay, so he left Germany in the 30s, because the Nazi regime ends up being like really obscure in America for the rest of his life, but wrote some incredible things about Prometheus and Promethean shame, and he wrote some incredible things. I actually talk about these extensively in my hyperobject book
Hmm.
about the Manhattan Project, and how this is like the god Prometheus, right? It's like
Wow.
there's this need in us to make things that give us power, that separate us, but in the end, those very things are going to destroy us,
Yes.
right? And in Anders Reed, like this myth is showing like kind of that we were on rails to that from the very inception of human nature,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that the subtitle of Frankenstein is a modern Prometheus,
a modern Prometheus.
right? Which
Yeah,
it's entirely a warning about this is what happens when humanity goes
yeah,
off the rails,
yeah.
or is on the rails towards what it will naturally do.
Yeah, but I don't read Aeschylus as a warning.
No, I don't either.
I
It's a
I
celebration,
think
I think.
it's a celebration, and I think it's like a predicted fact.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if we take Shelley seriously and saying this is a cautionary tale, I don't think this is a cautionary tale we're getting from Aeschylus, right? I
Yeah.
think Aeschylus is saying the forethought itself tells you that at some point humanity will nail itself to a rock by its own devices,
Yes.
right? Why? Because that's what humanity is, right?
Yes.
It is a rebellious thing. It's a monkey right, with the ability to make nuclear bombs now, right? That's what humanity is, and it will end up nailing itself to a rock of its own design.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the reason I said it's a celebration is because it's also the thing that gives us civilization, right? Like the very thing that makes us build things into great, beautiful things is also the thing that leads us towards our destruction.
Yeah, that's the irony of it. So if you look at, I think I'm on line 450. Actually, let's go. It's about, yeah, it's 450. Do you mind if it's going to be kind of extended?
Go ahead.
All right. So, yeah, line 450, Prometheus speaks. He says, "Don't think it's delicacy or stubbornness that keeps me quiet. My knowledge eats my heart as I see myself mistreated in this way. And yet, who else but me disturbed in full their privileges to these new gods? Excuse me, who will let me distributed in full their privileges to these new gods?" So humans are new gods, right? Who deified them, Prometheus, right? "We need to speak of that. You know the story, but listen to the miseries of mortals, childish until I made them intelligent and capable of thought. I tell you this not to cast any blame on human beings, but to show the kind intent in what I gave. At first they saw, but seeing was no use. They heard, but didn't hear. Like shapes in dreams, they passed long lives in purposeless confusion. They knew no homes of sun-warmed brick or wood. They but lived like swarming ants in lightless caves beneath the ground. They had no way of telling when winter would arrive, or flowery spring, or summer with its fruits. In everything they acted without thought, till I explained the risings and the settings of the stars, so hard to read, and I did more for them. I invented number, cleverest of devices, and writing, hard to work to help recall, hard at work to help recall all things to memory. The muse's mother. I was the first to yoke wild animals as slaves of pack and collar, so that they might take on the weightiest of mortals' burdens. I harnessed horses to the chariot, delight of the extravagantly rich. No one else but me invented sailing ships that roam the sea with linen wings outspread. I found all these contrivances for mortals, but to my sorrow, I have no device by which to escape my present misery." End quote. Right. Yeah. So notice he says, because so it's he has this sense of Iskos has a sense that there was like a long human prehistory. And at one point, humans, and I think, or a long pre-human animal history. Okay. And at one point, this animal is able to think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in its ability, I think he's saying literally abstractive, future-oriented thought, right? All the things that we would say is distinctive about human cognition. Abstractive, future-oriented thought comes online, and suddenly, oh wait, we can now learn about stars and predict the weather,
Yeah.
maybe, or what, right? All these things come on, and like he even says, number, mathematics, and writing, right? These are ultimately mnemonic aids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they are cognitive extensions. They're ways of offloading our, that modern cognitive scientists will put this, offloading or the burden of thought onto things around us,
Yes.
right? And this, as you put it, it was a great gift. It built civilization for us, right? It built everything for us, right? It's why, all the good things, right? And yet, what will come of it?
Mm-hmm.
We will ultimately destroy ourselves with it, because Prometheus is our archetype. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting too, because he doesn't necessarily talk about in at least in that moment that he also, like, those are the same things that help fashion better weapons and better war techniques and
Right.
our ability
And
to
nuclear
destroy
weapons.
ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is why I find like digital technology, like cell phones and things, and like computers and stuff that we're working with right now, that I think they make this point so well. Because what do? They increase our memory, they increase our access to information, et cetera, right? At the same time, they're posing now a kind of human destruction, right?
Yes.
Like that we will offload our responsibility for ourselves so much onto our technology that there will no longer be the distinctive human race anymore. We'll kind of go into this sort of you know, consciousless void,
Yes.
right? Where all the cognitive work has been like offloaded into our environment for us, right? Um, I think that's the ultimate Promethean
Oh,
prediction there,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And well, seems that on my read, Isklos got something very right back in the old days,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And to think too that like if this is how you kind of understand your origins as a species, that it was a rebellion that actually made us beyond animals. I mean, it was a rebellion against the nature of things or the gods
Yeah,
that ultimately made us better than just an anthill or running around with our heads cut off.
yeah.
Um,
It's that like that scene, opening scene in 2001: Space Odyssey,
yeah.
where the monolith shows up, Prometheus shows up, and somehow, gives insight to these screaming apes, right?
Yes.
And then one of them picks up a bone, and this is going to be the first tool slash weapon that will lead them to, be able to like smite their enemies, right?
Yeah.
And thereby gain ascendance. We'll wipe out those Neanderthals. And then what does Kubrick do? The next thing he does is he cuts to satellite-borne nuclear weapons orbiting the Earth.
Yes.
Right? Like
Yes.
there it is. There it is. I mean, that is, I see 2001: Space Odyssey as a retelling of the Prometheus myth.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I haven't seen that in a while. I need to go back and watch it.
Yeah. Because ultimately spoiler, but what's going to happen is like humanity is going to be overcome by its own technology in that
Hmm.
film. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's why I think this tragedy is like so pertinent to us today. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always am reminded whenever we talk about progress and how it's kind of this unstoppable thing. At one point the crossbow was outlawed after it had been invented, and
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, cat's out of the bag, man. Like there's no way a king is going to send his army to go fight somebody who's got crossbows, and you're still sitting there with a longbow in the back. Like
Yeah.
that's
I
just
mean,
not like, now you have a better weapon. Like so.
it's just, I mean, one of the lessons of history is that, prohibition slash abstinence ways of dealing with problems do not work.
Right.
Right? Do not work. Right. The cat is out of the bag. Right. And I think, um, I think that what Iskos is saying is humanity is like, what we are is we are the being that releases the cat from the bag.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what we do. Right. We're
Yeah.
rebellious. We won't keep the cat in the bag. Think of Plato in the Republic. In the CDC Reeves translation, he says that like the the fundamental human problem is always wanting to do better. And what that means is like to get an edge,
Yep.
right? To get ahead, to get more, right? Not to settle. And since we always want to do better, we will never leave that cat in the bag, because maybe there's some advantage that can come from letting that thing out, right? And what do? We let it out, right? And then next thing you know, you've got nukes and you've got AI technology that seem to be beyond our control, right? And I think Iskos would say, yeah, this is what I'm predicting.
Totally. Totally. Yeah, it's interesting too. So as it goes on, a couple people visit him, but really the main one I wanted to chat about is the Io, who
Yes.
is
Nice.
this woman that's been cursed because of the jealousy of was it Hera? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. So
Hera.
Zeus was into her,
Hmm.
right? So when my kids were young, I forget the name of it. We had this ancient, this like kind of kids adaptation of the ancient Greek myths, right?
Nice.
It's excellent, right? And but what they did is they were always talking about Zeus marrying various people, right? And he would come down, and marry this person, and at some point, someone married a bull. But I remember one of my kids, like, they were very perplexed by all the marrying that was going on. Anyway, but we can point out that Zeus was rather amorous towards Io. Io was actually not having it, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But Hera, Zeus's, at least on paper, wife,
Yeah.
she's upset.
Main
So she
piece.
curses
Yeah.
Io, yeah, and turns her into a cow.
A cow. Yeah, I was gonna say a bull.
Yeah,
I'm like, wait, no, a cow.
which, let's face it, like maybe like what you would expect in the most extreme woman on woman revenge, you would turn her into a cow, right? Right. So Io's been turned into a cow, and she has to just stroll the earth as a cow,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and so what she learns is what the actual prophecy was that also pissed off Zeus, that caused some of this. So the rebellion, of giving certain power to humankind, but he also predicted who was going to undo Zeus himself, and it would be ultimately
Yeah.
be one of his descendants, i.e., in this translation, it's just Heracles, but Hercules is one that more people
Yeah.
would know, and yet he still won't tell Zeus or Kratos' power who that is. So
Yeah.
he tells Io, but he doesn't actually tell, Zeus and who wants to know. And when is this actually going to happen? So much so that he gets warned, hey, this is going to be forever. And then finally a hurricane and a big cloud kind of suck him down into the earth, basically. So rebellion to the end, to being able to hold on to that information. But to what we've been talking about is that humankind is so on this path that even the gods now need to be concerned.
Yes. And okay, what I find, yes, 100%. This is exactly where I wanted to go. And Io is told, no, Prometheus tells Io in the 13th generation, a bad year,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I assume 13 means the same for them, right?
I would imagine. Yeah.
In the I mean, we probably got it from that one. Okay, so
Yeah.
in the 13th generation, in a bad year, you'll have a son or one of your descendants in the 13th generation have this son, and that son is going to kill Zeus. Like that's the claim, right? So where I go to that is it's the death of God.
Yes. Yep.
Right. That humans will eventually come like so rebellious that they cannot tolerate even the existence of any authority outside of themselves, right? And they will then expunge the very notion of divinity, right?
Yes.
Right. And so I see not only a prediction here of like our technological self-destruction, but also a sort of atheism, right?
Yes.
A rebellious sort of atheism will overtake humanity, right?
Yes.
And that's all wrapped into the self-destruction, I think, for Ischylus, right? Though Ischylus himself, like it's pretty clear in a lot of his plays, he's not like most smart people in Athens, it seems, was not really digging the the basic Greek religion.
Right.
But he's predicting here that humanity, as part of its rebellion, will just get over it entirely.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. It's a weird, like baked in rebelliousness that's just in humankind. Right. And so to your point earlier of that's why Prometheus is such a good image of what we are, because within our rebellion, we also chain ourselves to it.
Yes.
Right. We can't get off that train.
Yeah. Because now once, as it were, arms race begins, we have to keep doing better. And now we get history happens. Okay. But for Ischylus, the end of history, right, is not like a Hegelian democratic republic. It's humans absolutely destroying themselves in the wake of the death of God.
Yes. Yeah, and it's weird too, because there's a certain aspect of me that's like, well, yeah, I mean, why would I want to bend the knee to anybody, right?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, that very spirit can destroy you.
Yep. Which is to say, you too are a human being.
You too are a human being.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's the what's the anarchist motto? No king, no gods. No kings, no gods. Right. There's part of you, hell yeah, right?
Right.
Rebel. But then how's it always end?
Destruction. Absolutely.
Destruction. Okay.
Yeah.
And once again, I think I think we have to be careful that we can't say, if we want to read this in the Greek way, that literally Ischylus is saying that there's going to be this linear movement, or a horizontal movement that wherein ultimately history comes to an end because of human self-destructiveness. It will be for him, like a Greek, it'd be endless cycles of human self-destruction, right? And it's only our sort of post-enlightenment, post-Christian sense that history is always linear that makes us think this. Like, and I think this is an interesting way to think of it. It's not that there'll be some final end of humanity. So humanity will always be undoing itself. Every generation, because of its rebelliousness, because of its technology, will absolutely undo the prior one. Right.
Yes.
but then they'll be undone, and they'll be undone. It's like humanity. My take on this is like we're constantly living through this generation's apocalypse. Like
Yes.
our phenomenological world is always shattered, right, by what we've done, right, and then replaced with something else, and then that phenomenological world, right, that Lebenswelt will be shattered, right,
Hmm.
again and again and again and again, right, like
Yeah.
we're always living through the end time.
Yes. I can't help but be reminded of the theory that it's this cycle of, and it's particularly talking about masculinity in particular, but strong men create a strong society or a safe society.
Yeah,
Those things make weak men. Weak men then create a weak society, and now all of a sudden strong men show up and make it again. And a lot of times when the strong men show up, they destroy the society that was before them, whether or not through violence or through a phenomenological change of some kind.
yeah,
That we're doing this kind of circular self destruction constantly.
yeah. I think the only alteration that Ischlus would do there is he'd say, well, no, like strong men make strong men who destroyed the strong men. It's just, it's not degeneracy that's doing it.
Yes.
Right? It's the worst thing that can happen to us for humans is that we get what we want.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Right? Like the last thing we would want is to actually get what we want, because that will undo us.
Yes.
I think, and that therein is why this is a tragedy. Right.
Yes.
And in my view, it's the ultimate tragedy, because it's saying like there's like there's absolutely whatever, it's like the type of all tragedy, because like every human desire will ultimately become self-destructive.
Hmm.
Right, because there's built into it a kind of rebellion.
Yes.
Right, like there was someone's telling dad, I am not going to do it. Right, but ultimately dad is going to win that one. Right, and the rebellion will end in something bad. Right?
Yes.
I think I just went Freud there, but that's okay. That's when you're a hammer, many things are nails.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that, and it's interesting too that, I mean, it's such an ironic tragedy, to be honest,
Yeah,
because like as we said, it's this weird mix of celebrating the fact that we can build civilization, but also lamenting the fact that that very power is going to destroy us, and we can't help ourselves. It's so strange, and it's just it rings so true. Thousands of years later, I just blows
yeah,
my mind.
yes, blows my mind too. Yeah, because I mean, here we sit, we are mediating this conversation through digital technology to good end, right?
Yeah.
And yet, probably much is lost, right?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. What's the weird dream of like social media too, right? Like it was originally, hey, we're gonna be more connected than ever. We'll be able to, connect with our
Yeah.
families, across the world, all that kind of stuff. And slowly but surely realizing, oh, it's increasing our anxiety. Oh, it's increasing suicides. Oh, it's increasing like
Yeah.
all this dark
And yet
stuff.
it was originally developed by the Defense Department. But
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
yeah. That one's going behind the paywall.
Yes. Exactly.
Nice. Yeah. So, and this is why, generally in my introduction philosophy class that I teach, I use this text.
Nice.
And not necessarily because it fits terribly well. I just think it's one of the most important things that people should be reading right now.
Absolutely.
Right. As we obsess over technology, I think to come to see that this is not new. Right.
Yeah.
The name of the new boss, same as the old boss.
Yes.
This kind of human apocalyptic self-destruction is what we've always done.
Yeah.
Right?
What's interesting
I'm not
too.
saying that means, oh, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Right? No, I'm saying it's more like, no, we'll be undone. Yep.
Yeah. Well,
Like
to me too, this is why it works in this podcast, because this is our first kind of jump back to a classic, other than the Myth of Sisyphus, but that was through Camus, right? Or Camus.
Yeah.
But
That's right.
the fact that like this is a very critical way of seeing the world, and by that I mean like within critical theory of like,
Yeah.
kind of question, what are we doing? What are the structures involved? What are the power plays going on right now? Because it allows you to see the potential downfalls and potential like destruction.
That's such a great point, because it seems like, given the irony built into human nature, we need then a hermeneutics of suspicion for all human endeavors.
Mhm.
Right? Because on the Promethean take, all human endeavors are a kind of technology. I think that's right, by the way. And what actually motivates those? Is it our amelioration, or is it pure rebellion?
Yep.
Right. And there's no claim in this book that we'll get to the bottom of that, really.
Yes.
But there is this cautionary, be careful, like it's predictive, right? But it's sort of like, what can we come away with is to say, well, now it seems like we need that relentless criticism of everything, because who knows what Prometheus is really up to here. Because keep in mind, like Prometheus, I read him as kind of a Jungian trickster figure too, because, you know, he played humanity too. I mean, he's like, yeah, I'll make you guys like gods, only because I want to rebel against all gods, and you guys are going to get chewed up in the process. You'll have a good ride, but you're going to get chewed up. You see that? So like I think that we should come away like mistrusting Prometheus, which is to say mistrusting ourselves. He's the human archetype. Yeah. Like we're revealed as rebellious tricksters.
Yes.
And we're pulling the trick on ourselves constantly.
Absolutely. Cool, man. Yeah. Well, that was fun.
That was fun, man.
Yeah.
That was fun. It was a good one. And you're right, man. It's interesting that this is our first step back into the ancient texts. And it's interesting that this is the one we went to.
Yeah. I'm sure eventually we'll get in. I'm sure eventually we'll get into Plato's Republic. I do think that's a very dangerous book, to be honest, or books within a word, whatever you want to say.
There's also the fact that like maybe the last thing the world needs is another podcast in Republic.
Yeah.
But I think you and I have some takes on that thing that are maybe a little different. And I think there's some moments in the text that we could talk about that are not the moments in the text that everybody talks about.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Like I think this is better. I think book one's the big one, actually.
I agree. Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah.
Cool, all right, man. Well, this was fun. All our viewers, subscribers, thanks again for watching and listening. And be sure to hit that subscribe button. You know, hit it hard. With the fire of Prometheus.
Yeah. Rebel. Hit that thing. We're the best way to rebel against the Force.
Awesome. All right, man. Appreciate the combo. All right. Bye.